Yo, what's good everyone, it's Zigzag here, and welcome back to another Geoguessr video, and it's time to catch some cheaters on the case review system from multiplayer. Right, before we get into the rest of the video, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Manta Sleep. So I've been working with Manta Sleep for quite some time now, and let me tell you, I'm a big fan of their products. They create these sleeping masks which are used to get your best possible night of sleep. So as you might know, I was recently on a trip in the Balkans, and while I was in the hostel in Zadar, Croatia, one of the men inside my dorm was snoring loudly and in a really annoying fashion. In addition to that, people were using their phones and there were various lights around the room. I was about to be very annoyed, but then I remembered I had my Manta Sleep sound mask. This mask is Bluetooth pairable with your phone. You hit the on button right here, sync it up right here, and then play music, or in my case, rain noises, to drown out the person across the room from you inside the hostel. In addition to that, these comfortable eye cups really do block out all the light in the room. So I had a very comfortable and good sleep in what was a really bad scenario. And honestly, you can use these any night of the week, and I find them really comfortable regardless. They also sent me this weighted sleep mask, which I also really enjoy, so check that out as well. But yeah, guys, if you're now interested in checking out Manta Sleep, then there'll be a link in the pinned comment and the description to take you to Manta Sleep. In addition to that, you can use code ZIGZAG as it appears on screen for 10% off. And even in addition to that, they have many upcoming sales. For example, from the 29th of November to the 3rd of December, when you spend $99, you'll get 20% off, and there are even further discounts as well. So thank you to Manta Sleep for the sponsorship, and let's get back into the video. Let's get into it. It's been a while since I did this, and in the previous two videos, people weren't always so happy with my decisions, so I'll try to be very reasonable in this one, but let's see what we got here. Initial vibe here, probably that we're in Oslo with the yellow lines and with the modern architecture. So let's have a look what our suspect is going to do in this first one. So rating range is around 800, and it says Oslo right there, so looks like a fairly standard guess. And even if they're extremely close here, I think it's going to be hard to say that they're extremely guilty because, well, obviously it said the city name. So there's the actual location. And we have a very standard looking guess here. How close did they end up being? They're extremely close, it looks. Ooh, on the exact road, it's interesting because they didn't appear to zoom all the way in to Oslo. That being said, it was pretty obvious that we're next to a huge train station. I'm pretty sure this is just a not guilty, if not insufficient evidence, but I believe that this was not guilty. It said Oslo right at spawn. Seems to be a very standard round in my opinion. Let's head through to the next one here, where we're in Malta. Again, the country is pretty easy here, and we have a 900 to 1,000 rating range for our suspect on the moving format. Suspect immediately just having a look around here. Looks like quite a long round, judging by the bar, so a little bit less experienced player, because we can clearly tell that the steering wheel is going to be on the right here, leading to Malta. But okay, we're heading up the road here, getting to the main road here. We can see euros. Do they use euros in Malta? I'd forgotten that. Okay. So we even have a flag up there as well, I think. Okay, looking pretty standard so far. It even said Valletta on that bus, so it's really hard to say how this one would end up being cheating. It's just such a standard round. I think even for a 1,000 rated player, that should be absolutely achievable. Heading further down the road here, I'm even surprised that at this rating range, the opponent hasn't even guessed. Driving left-hand side of the road, clearly, there's not too many options at that point. But okay, our guy likes to be nice and considered. It said Valletta on that sign as well. Clearly, our guy does not know where Valletta is. Okay, here we have the language. Surely this is the best example. I didn't even know they have that H letter. That's really interesting, but surely this is the point at which you guess. Okay, oh, this just got interesting all of a sudden. A huge pause on this sign here. A huge pause. So maybe this is actually suspicious then. I had not thought this would be suspicious at all. Let's see how close the guess ends up being. Excuse, what the heck? Okay. I think this actually could be Google somehow. Let's see what happens when we Google this top one. Okay, well, the first line leads us to Malta. The second line leads us to Malta. And the third line leads us to Malta as well. So I'm quite confused here what happened. Honestly, given the fact that none of these come up with Iceland when you Google them, you just have to really go for insufficient evidence here. I mean, scripting, not guilty, Googling insufficient evidence, I think, right? It seemed very strange the way the suspect used this sign, and yet such a terrible guess that makes zero sense. I think that's quite likely that this guy might be Googling, but yeah, insufficient is definitely the way to go there. So let's head through to the next one here. We are going to be in Switzerland here. We've got the front of the Google car, which you only find in Liechtenstein and Switzerland for Gen 4. And then we have Gasse, which means alley in German. So yeah, thinking we're going to be somewhere in eastern Switzerland here. Let us have a look what goes down here. We're back and moving, and this time the rating's a little higher. Okay, and it's a quick guess here, just to turn around and straight into Zurich and ends up being correct. Definitely interesting that the person did not move. I did not see any particularly useful information when we were in on the round here. Like, I don't think it says the city when he swung around to check everything. Not as far as I can tell. Let's have one more look at that. Nothing that time. It does feel like a capital city though, right? It feels like it's going to be one of the major cities of Switzerland. So personally, I lean not guilty. Definitely. But scripting, yeah, I mean, I feel not guilty is actually the correct thing here. Definitely not Googling. No time to Google there. So really it's about scripting. Is it insufficient evidence or is it not guilty? Feel very standard to me. I think the opponent's just put off by how quick they guessed, and we don't know where the suspect actually comes from as well. I'm gonna say not guilty, but I can understand why someone would go insufficient evidence there as well. Seems reasonable because we had no proper info, but we were in 1,300 rating, so you can expect kind of better guesses. Next one here, we're in Brazil. Let's have a look at what's going down. And we have a lot of information here. Oh, this looks like a bit of a Googling job at 900 rating. The Ponte, the bridge Mahmoud Ahmed. Wait, that's a super interesting name. It's going to be very distinctive to Brazil here. We may see something interesting here. Now, finally, after staring at that sign for about 25 seconds, we have a zoom into Brazil. Okay. Not loving the way this is looking for the suspect. It definitely seems like a bit of cheats, if you ask me. So, zooms in near Manaus here. We know it's further east. We saw the marker is actually further east here. Zooms out, looks over this direction. Highly suspicious indeed. I would say that round definitely constituted cheats. The suspect did not look at the landscape at all, pretty much just turned around, saw the sign, and then tried to locate where the pin was on his phone or whatever. I think this is a pretty obvious one. We're gonna go not guilty for scripting, and we're gonna say guilty for Googling there. I don't think there's insufficient evidence. I think there is sufficient evidence instead. Okay, next one here, back in Brazil. No, not back in Brazil at all. Okay, this is actually the United Kingdom. Nice, okay. And I thought this was double yellow lines in the center. It's just a no parking line. We got quite a distinct landscape here. It's no move this time. So let's see what the suspect's up to. If I had to predict, there's going to be a sign behind us and we might see a bit of Googling action, but let's see if I'm correct. Okay, so zooms in on the plate. I like the way this starts. This is immediately a good and legit looking start. Zooming in on the plates, everything useful. Turns around. Sees the English, okay, so that's good. So pretty much confirmed the country by now. And there is a big sign here. Okay, so Benone Strand, Benone Beach, basically. We look out north to some ocean. So that's already pretty distinctive. I'm liking the way that this player's like looking, like the way they're looking around so far. So yeah, this looks legit to me. Picks a north, like facing angle, and okay, it's not the guess yet. Oh, and then comes across it. It is interesting how much of a distinct guess we had from our guy here. Like, he definitely only considered North Ireland here. But when you consider a north coast, like you can get a bit of that in Wales, a little bit in England, but most of it will happen in Northern Ireland and Scotland. This doesn't really look like Scotland, so I kind of like it here. Can we see any Irish language? Not really. I don't think so. Strand is just English, I think. So let's see. We still got a bit of the round, so we'll see if we get a 5K here. But I mean, I think it's legit. I think so. Okay, zooms in, finds the end of the road, goes for the 5K. Okay, definitely impressive for an 800 or 900 rated player, I think. So scripting, obviously not. Googling, insufficient or not guilty. We didn't see that typical pause that you get on a Googler, and just the way that the suspect looked around at the plates here, had a good look at the landscape and everything, made me feel confident that it was a legit guess, to be honest. I would say that there is evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that this was legit. Everything just looked right to me. It passed the eye test. I could see the vague possibility of Googling here, but even then, it just looked like he scanned for the correct place, knew what he was doing. So I'm gonna say not guilty there, actually. Though I admit that one's not maybe foolproof. Let's go through to the next one here. Looks like Rwanda. And that is a country that can be difficult to get at the 600 and 700 rating range. So let's just see how this looks. There could be potentially many signs in Rwanda to Google. And we start off the round with no moving, panning, or zooming. That's certainly interesting. Let's keep an eye out for scripts here. We could see a scripting case. Opens the map without zooming around. Okay, extremely strange. Zooms in after sitting still, by the way, for like 20 seconds at the start of the round. Zooming in, zooming in. This looks like scripts to me, right? And what's gonna happen here? Finally comes in and guesses Kigali. At 600 to 700 rating, that's a very important piece of context here. On a moving game, at that rating, this looks like scripts, doesn't it? No moving, panning, or zooming, unless this is a pro player smurfing. then this has to be some kind of scripting, I think, right? There's no Googling going on, that's for sure. There was nothing to Google. So the question is it insufficient evidence or is it guilty? I would say, given that we have the context of the rating this time, that is guilty of scripting, I think. There was a big pause at the start of the round. It's not like they just went straight in and guessed. They kind of sat there and looked at nothing as if they were pulling up the coordinates using a script or something. It seems like a script to me. I'm going to say that is guilty. Let's head through to this next case. We are in no moving now. Always like to see that. Though we have some green signs, so potentially Googleable here. What I'm noticing is immediately looks at that sign. Okay, that looked legit though. Didn't swing to the sign for too long, looking around at the rest of the round as well. And going in for a guess. What I don't like here is that the suspect has guessed in a national forest, not in the dry part to the east of the mountains here. But the question is, can this be read, really, this sign at the start? I'm not so sure. So let's see, he's on it for not too long. I would not say it's a Google job, but maybe if he has someone sitting next to him, they could be Googling in time. I think this is just gonna have to be an insufficient evidence, right? It's always so hard on the no moving rounds, unless there's something very blatant going on to give a guilty. But I would say probably just insufficient on both, or maybe not guilty of scripting, and maybe... I'm probably just gonna go insufficient evidence on both. I couldn't really say what exactly happened there. I'd have to watch more of the duel to really be sure. So let's head through to the next case here. I want to see someone who's nice and blatant. That's what I always like to see here. But I am happy we're back in 1000 plus rating on no moving. That's my favorite to review, although it is somewhat frustrating because you can't always tell. Immediately zooms in Thailand, clicks middle, and takes the points then. That's really interesting. It's not a particularly good region guess. We're inside the steamy mountains. Like, it feels like we're very far north here. And our guy just clicks the middle of the country. That being said, it is a very easy Thailand. We got the Thai bollards. You know, we've got the signposts. It's pretty obvious, like white painted signpost there. Anyone with some experience, which you can expect someone to have at 1000 plus rating, could do this. So yeah, I think that I'm between not guilty and insufficient. I think with just one round on no moving again, I would just say for scripting, insufficient, and for Googling, not guilty. I think that's reasonable because at the end of the day, maybe he has a script that tells him the country and he's just clicking the middle. Seems possible to me, though unlikely, but yeah, that one seems to be kind of insufficient evidence on that round. And we're back and moving at a low rating here, and we have a town name, I think. I might know what's going to happen on this one, but let's see. So, immediately, kind of slow start to the round here. Zooms in on the town name here. How long are we going to be waiting on here? I wonder. Well, we've been here for now 25 seconds, and the suspect is finally ready to go into Chile here. And yeah, the way they're zooming into the map here does not fill me with confidence. This looks like a Google job to me. Clicks near Concepcion. It is near Concepcion. Of course, it's a fairly easy round for a good player, but for 600 to 700 rating, this one looks like an absolute guilty of scripting, or absolute guilty of Googling, and not guilty of scripting. Yeah, that is a very straightforward case indeed. So let's head through to the next round here, where we're in Korea at a very low rating here, less than 500. So if someone's getting reported at less than 500, I don't think even people below 500 rating know how to report. So I feel like this is going to be a definite guilty case, but let's not be biased. Let's just have a look what happens here. So immediate zoom onto the sign here. We've got a bunch of useful stuff, but again, we're just staring at a sign. There's really no reason to do that in a duel. Like, if you find a sign, then you'd move this sign over to here, and then you'd get into the map and start scanning for the places if you think you know them. And that being said, these are very tiny places. None of these I've ever heard of in my life, and just the way that they appear on the sign, you just know they're going to be tiny. And of course, we've got a very, very specific guess here. A very, very specific guess for a 500 rated player. We know what happened here. This was guilty of Googling, insufficient evidence, or not guilty for scripting. Give me a harder one. Come on. This one too easy. All right, next one here, moving at a higher rating. So I like that. Let's see if we got some Googling action here or if it's going to be legit. Canada, Lockeport here. BR80. I wonder what that means. Brigade, maybe? We've got a area code there. Too hard to read though. Okay, so looks legit so far. Decent amount of like zooming on good information. We got the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. So obviously country is completely obvious here, even without the flags. Heading down the road here. I like it. Looks legit so far. Definitely looks legit. We might see a close plonk though. Lockeport. Okay, so now, do we see... Okay, that wasn't too much of a pause. I think he zoomed in on the minimap quick enough for me to feel comfortable with that. Scanning in Newfie first, looks like a reasonable region guess to me. Scans in Nova Scotia now, and obviously we can't see Lockeport on the map, but maybe it could be different on his screen. I'm not sure, depending on the resolution of his monitor or whatever, but let's see. Okay, we get one more zoom. And yeah, okay, this is full legit. I'm very confident. The way this player played the round, they just like seem to make every right decision. And even going for the 5k here, you should just send, I feel like, but I respect it anyway, and finds the correct street. Not quite the 5k, but nonetheless very close indeed. I would say we are going not guilty for everything here. This was just like a really nicely played, like kept their cool and just made the right guess by scanning for the right town. Yep, they had the right region guess as well, so it makes sense for a higher rating player. Everything there looked good. And are we back in Canada? Maybe we're back in Nova Scotia even. This kind of looks like Nova Scotia, right? Let's have a look. We are in moving, but this time a bit of a lower rating. And yeah, maybe it could be somewhere else in Canada. I'm not quite sure here. What have we got here? Bayview Manor. It still kind of looks like Nova Scotia to me. Let's see what this sign says at the end. And so, that's interesting. So, Maitland, Walton, Windsor. Yeah, it should actually be Nova Scotia indeed, I think. And yeah. So everything looks fine at the moment. The zoom into the sign, yeah, still active on the cursor, so I don't mind that. Checking out all these different places. Now, this is a bit of a suspicious pause here. This is a bit too long for my liking. Okay, well, yeah, this all of a sudden got very suspicious. We're about to see what happens, and in comes the map, and immediate zoom to the right area. Now, I don't think, in my opinion, none of these place names are particularly big. I'm looking at the map here. Yep, I don't see any of them as significant places. Indeed, I don't even see them here. I see Walton and I see Maitland. They're small towns. The other ones I don't even see. So, my conclusion here is that this is highly suspicious, especially from a 700 to 800. I think the pause on the sign here is almost too good to be true. I think it seems very suspicious indeed. I think this is a Googling job. And finally, clicks. Not even on an intersection. So, yeah, this one is Googling, actually, I would say. And not scripting. Okay. I want to see a scripter though. Last 2 episodes we had scripters and I failed to give either of them guilty. I'm back for revenge, but this one is this classic coverage that you get in, maybe it actually looks like it's in Alberta here. I thought it was going to be in BC. Okay, Alberta. Let's have a look. Okay, so we're moving a bit high rated, up to 1,000 rating here. We have place names here. Okay, so we got the pause. We got the customary pause. Okay, it wasn't too long there, though. Could still be legit, but kind of moves the camera away and still... Oh, yep. This pause is too long. I'm sorry, guys. If this ends up being anything close, then it's too long, because where? He should be on the minimap. He should be placing markers or looking around. It's, yeah. It's not too good here. And... uh-oh. Oh yeah, so you zoom straight into the place names. Of course, these are, again, very tiny places. Out of the last 4 cases, 3 very guilty looking Googling cases, unfortunately. It's probably the easiest way and most common way to cheat though, so it does make sense. And are we back? No, this time we're in Russia. And so, let's have a look what happens on this round. We got no move 1300 plus. Okay, so that just means, so this person could be extremely high rated, I just realized. Okay, interesting mouse movement here. Flicks towards the antenna, checks antenna. Looks like it's a high rated opponent to me. I definitely won't be giving guilty here, even if it's extremely close, but I will give insufficient evidence if it ends up being an insane guess. Western Russia does feel pretty good here. We have like a bunch of, what are those, spruce trees or whatever. Definitely feels it's going to be in the west somewhere. And yeah, oh, very standard plonk so far. I don't mind that at all. Indeed, not an ideal guess. I wouldn't say this is like a 1,800 rated plus, but it does feel like someone who's maybe 15, 1600 knows a bit about Russia and makes a very convincingly decent guess there. Everything looked good. They're staring at the antenna. Clearly someone who's actually meant to be at that rating. I'm very happy to say that that was legit, and we actually came to the end of our cases. Never had that happen before, but it looks like the streets of Geoguessr are safe at the moment. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to see more of it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a video very soon. Till next time, and goodbye.